Kirill and Iceman. Iceman seems a little weird of a name, but maybe you have heard of him if you are familiar in the area of RFID hacking. And exactly this is the topic of their talk. Please welcome them.
Woo!
Hey, everybody.
Woohoo! Fuck, I'm loaded.
Finally, huh?
Oh, God, I didn't have lunch. Did you have lunch?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, fuck. Well, I never do that. Nerves.
It was
you know.
pasta.
Yeah. Did you have a good lunch? Are you stuffed? Yeah, okay, great. What do you guys know about RFID? Anybody know anything about that? Someone, okay.
You've heard
Do you
about
know
it.
anything about RFID hacking? Hands raised, hands raised. Okay, cool. Do anyone have a flipper? Okay. Does anyone have a Proxmark? Yeah, now my peeps are talking to me.
So two times more people have Proxmark than Flipper. Interesting.
That is good. Because me, I'm Iceman, and you most likely are running my firmware on that device. And you're quite happy with it. I spend too much time with it. And we're going to walk you through a little bit about RFID hacking and RFID in general today, together with
Kirill, thank you. I apply different tools, including RFID tools, including what Iceman has wrote in my daily job. So I run I've been running a small cybersecurity company back in Latvia for 12 years, and we do red teaming and including RFID stuff. So I will try to cover the applied part, and Iceman will cover, you won't call it that, but I'll call it research part.
I call it the hacking part.
Yeah.
I'm a hacker. I identify as a hacker.
Right, but me too. I hack a lot, and I've hacked stuff, really low-level stuff like with assembly. I have some CVEs, but I also do social engineering and stuff like that. If you're into any of the things on the spectrum, Kirills.org is where all the presentations are. Right, and compared to Iceman, I like bullet points, which is why the presentation, has bullet points on some slides and doesn't have on some other slides. And I don't really care about tabs or spaces, all that crap. I try to choose languages which don't care about white space. So that's my jam. So today, we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to answer at least 6 questions for you today in this 1 hour that we have with you. We're going to talk about why, where, how. We're going to see if we can make an overview of all the technologies that there are. And of course, secure, attack. So those are the questions we're having. So,
Yeah, why is it relevant?
why is it relevant, right?
Yeah.
So we had about 30% of you raising your hand for having a Proxmark. So why do you have Proxmark? Why do you need it? Why does RFID even matter? Well, the fact of the matter is we are trying to understand how many tags are there in the world. Now, with IP addresses, it is a bit easier. There are a limited number of IP addresses in IPv4 space, more, but still limited in IPv6, but the private one's a bit hard. With RFID tags, it's a bit more complicated because, you can just make them up. You can just produce them off the line. But we did find some statistics. And so combining just the 2 years of 2022 and 2023, we got to almost 100 billion, which is why we make the bold assumption that there are hundreds of billions of RFID tags in use globally. That's a lot of them.
That's a lot of tags. It's a lot.
So where is RFID used? You might have many ideas, but we don't have them. We don't have you mic'd up, so we're not going to ask. A little overview, right? Machine-readable documents, and we're gonna take a look at small examples, and I'm gonna talk a bit more about the applications in every of these. Car immobilizers, payment systems, entry systems, different membership cards, hotel rooms. You did manage to hack my hotel room card, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, this morning.
I did, yeah.
Congrats on that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Access control systems besides hotel rooms, right? Getting into the territory, into protected space somewhere. Usually used together with a biometric system these days. Ticket systems, of course, not only public transportation, as it has been a tradition, but also events these days. And logistics systems, of course, luggage tracking.
We love luggage tracking.
Did you track your luggage finally?
Oh, man.
He got his luggage, what, this morning, last evening?
2 days late.
2 days late, yes.
Thank you, Lufthansa.
Should have used RFID on it. Maybe, would it have helped?
I should have had an air tag in it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Not
around
RFID.
your nose. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and toll collection systems on the road. So going a bit more in depth, so machine-readable documents, passports, for example, or ID cards. It's an interesting application of RFID, since it does have multiple keys, and one of the keys is in machine-readable zone on the bottom there that you need to have in order to be able to access some of the data. And then there's some data that is a bit harder to access, and the government has it. Now, with passports, from the practical perspective, I've seen an interesting inability by the governments of the world to distribute their public keys, which means that for many years, it's maybe still in some countries, it was quite possible to just sign it with whatever authority you want and have your own valid, secure.
Yeah, but was another add-on to that. Adam Laurie told me that a couple of years. Oh, do you know Adam Laurie? He's a very famous RFID hacker, and back in the days, he's really good at it. Still hangs around. And he told me they made their own passports by doing a Java card application, and it worked because it's not mandatory to sign the data. It's optional according to the standard. So he used that, and he had his own passport for a while.
It's kind of
He
like
never used it, of course. They had a testing machine at the customs office. They could go and test it.
kind of like boarding passes, but in my opinion, quite a bit worse, right? I think only US signs boarding passes digitally, and the rest of the world just doesn't care. In passports, it's a bit better because it is a bit more, critical. Right. Car immobilizer systems, basically, if you're any car thieves here? One.
Please raise your hand.
Okay. So, if you're a car thief and you wanna steal this nice car that you have outside there, so you can just rummage through your belongings and make a copy of the physical key. The problem for you is that in the physical key there's also a chip that tells the car that it's really that key, which makes it hard to copy, both for criminals and for legitimate users as well. Now, payment systems, NFC. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Yeah, NDEF and all those fancy academic things that I have no idea what that's about. Right. So with RFID in payment systems, it's quite interesting from a practical perspective. Now, at least back in Latvia, the association of all the banks, they renamed themselves the Finance Association, keeps telling everyone that it's super safe. It is the safest payment method there is, which is why they have a limit of 150 euros per transaction. So that's the idea of safety. I haven't enabled it for any of mine.
Did you read the documentation from EMV?
No, I did not.
6,000 pages.
Yeah,
I did not read it.
I'm still stuck on 3G. I'm reading that documentation, more pages, I think.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, entry systems. Right, so you probably have an RFID card if you're staying in a hotel here. Some use keys, but mostly it is RFID cards. Even though depending on where you travel, which country that is, you might also have magnetic stripes and so on. But this presentation is about RFID, and if we compare magnetic stripes with the other technologies, including RFID and contact IC, is that there is an IC in them, right? Meaning integrated circuit, so it can be smart, which is where the smart comes from in the smart card, meaning that you can't just copy it. Well,
Makes sense, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you can't copy it in some cases. In other cases, it's quite easy, but we're going to get to that in a minute. Now, then, of course, access control systems into a restricted area. Usually a good physical security for a building has a layered model. You have the gate, you have the outside perimeter, inside perimeter, server room, and so on.
And I'm suspecting this is the main reason why the people in this room have a flipper or Proxmark.
To get into their server room, so they don't have to carry all the different
just
IDs.
in case.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense.
You always use it for legitimate reasons.
Yes. Flipper is actually we bought Flipper because it has this I button support. There was no ready-made portable tool as small available. But Proxmark is cool, but this is a bit hard to use in the field.
iButton, isn't that like Russian?
Yeah. That's the Russian contact thingy. It looks like a battery. Right. Back to this. So badges, right? In case none of you have seen how badges looks like, I went on Twitter and I got some screenshots. So this is a badge. This is also a badge, and then you can badge in. All right. Sometimes if the barrier, the entry is manned, you don't even have to have the RFID content in it. You just, it's okay. You just print stuff in, leave it empty, and you know, have coffees in your hands, and they badge you in. Right, ticket systems. So ticket systems are interesting beasts. So we hacked is a strong word, but about 10 years ago we hacked the Latvian system. It's based on French model. The ACS was the vendor. It was MiFi roulette, nothing special. Some OTP fields. We're going to get to that. Right, but here, of course, the idea is to get money from you. So you pay for the service, you get the service, and people who don't pay the service don't get the service. Now, interesting, neighboring country, Estonia, and its capital Tallinn, actually implemented free rides for everybody. And since I don't like to be tracked, I'm a privacy zealot of a way. Right? I don't want my info being out there. So I thought, wow, that's so nice. I'm going to go live in Tallinn. And apparently in Tallinn, to use the free system, you have to have a trackable RFID ticket. It's free, but your name has to be on it, and you have to beep in every time.
Yeah, I know. I was in Estonia last year, and I got a couple of those cards, and you get this little signature thing in end format. Really nice, really cool.
I found one on the street like 5 years ago, and I was riding with it for 1 year for free.
I'm not surprised.
yeah, saving money, man.
Yeah, man. They're quite.
You should try it.
Estonia is really far off with smart card integrations and these frontier things. Really, really enjoyable to be there. If you ever been, go there.
Yeah, please do. And of course, luggage. You wanna talk about?
Luggage.
yeah. So you can track luggage. So basic industrial RFID, right? You just stick your tags, or they're built into the stuff, and then as it moves through the logistics system, may it be a localized logistics system of one center or a global system, it just tracks automatically. Now for airline checked-in luggage, I believe they are not using RFID yet in Europe. It's just the paper barcode thingy.
In Europe it's paper, but when you go overseas to the US, you get an ultra-high frequency in the tag.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Right, and then of course, again, about money, you drive on the road, people build the road, so they want you to pay for the road, so...
Got to pay for the road.
Yeah, you have, I think this is usually UHF, right? You have it in your car, and it's...
Yeah, it's UHF, yeah. Distance and fast.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's that. Let's talk a bit about how it works. Now, I have a feeling that by number of hands and the people who, and the overlap between Flipper users and Proxmark users, that at least half of you know how RFID works.
Or do they?
Well, yeah.
So this is slides of you who don't know, and the ones who pretend they know, they can at least go like,
The next slide is going to shock you, and actually I added it just for the shock value. You told me we don't need the slide, it's off topic, but look at this. Wow. Yeah? Yeah. As a person that's originally a network engineer, I've been doing that. I stopped doing that like 20 years ago. I love layered models because you can work with each of them. So this is how stuff works, right? We have the reader here, we have the tag here. There's an air interface physically between them, and there's a model of the tag, the representation inside the RFID hardware layer of the tag, and the representation of the communications, the protocol as it is there, right? And these protocols are binary, of course, meaning that it's not like SMTP. You can't just send English letters, right? So, but we're not going to talk about. Well, we're going to talk about some of it, right? But most of the attacks are higher up. Okay, so this is an example of a reader by NXP.
I know he has this nice thingy there with a pointer, but I love doing this. So, do you see the traces that go around here on this PCB board? That is the built-in antenna on this reader. So every time you see something like that, if you see the 2.4 gigahertz things, and 5 gigahertz, you see these F-shaped ones like that and all. That's also an antenna. And you also see the lack of copper sulfate thingy underneath it. Make sure it is. Really nice, beautiful design.
Doesn't have a case, though.
I had to take it out of the case.
Yeah, but hard to use in the field.
Oh, that's a dev board, by the way.
Yeah, doesn't work. Yeah, and then on the other end of the spectrum is the tag, or the other end of the communication is the tag. And you see the common thing is it also has like a coil. That's the antenna.
And it's beautiful. Look at this. It's quite beautiful, isn't it? It's simple. And the IC, we don't see the IC very much there, but it's the big black blob.
I think somewhere in the last 10 slides, I'll show you what a beautiful tag looks like. This is Yeah, okay. So how does it work? Well, just to leave the hardware layer behind us, we're just gonna have this slide here as the final one, right? It works with induction, right? Physics. It's basically magic. So we have magical stuff happening. We have magical stuff happening here on this side. Then it induces some magic over there in the air, and then the magic gets induced over here. And you know.
So if you know Maxwell's equations from 1875, it induces by a moving magnet means moving electrons. You have these AC electrons, you push in, the coil will line it up, generates a magnetic field, you enter another harmonized tune antenna into the same
We did decide to talk about that in a different talk, right? About Maxwell equations and, and all that stuff.
Anyway, it's super sexy.
From the practical perspective, of course, the tags do not need a battery. They are induction powered, and they communicate through changing the field, right? And
screaming, you know, so you have a power in the field, and you consume it or not consume it. So the tag shortens out, and yeah.
Correct. Right. Okay, so what do we have, right? Enough with the academic stuff. So 3 types of systems, 3 types of technologies: low frequency, high frequency, and ultra high frequency. Now for low frequency tags, you may have seen them, and the fun question here is, can we distinguish between them visually, right? If we have like, we do have any tags with us? No?
I think we had one picture of it.
Yeah. So if we had 2 tags, could we visually, just by looking at them, distinguish if it's LF or high F? We could.
How? And how do you see the antenna if it's a plastic case?
Yes. You use electromagnetic waves, but from the visible spectrum, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, okay, but you know, without doing that, LF and HF can look quite similar. So some people think that LF is always the small round things, and HF is the square things. It's not correct. They can be either way. And UHF is a whole different beast altogether. Right. So here's an example of an LF tag. This is a nice picture as well, isn't it?
Well, this is when you put it through some other kind of light. This is an X-ray image of it, and it's a really nice one. This is made by N4Web in the UK. Thanks for pictures. I know you will look at this video later on. And so, yeah.
Yes. So usually, historically, these cards have simple integrated circuits. So they're dumb, they have low memory, low processing power, if they process anything at all, and they usually talk first. And oftentimes, it's one-way communications because of that.
So what does one tag talk first? Imagine the reader generates a field, right? And as soon as you enter the tag into that field, it powers up. It starts screaming out bytes. And that's what it do. The reader doesn't ask for anything. It doesn't have any authentication or handshakes going on. It's no bi-directional communication. That's what we say. It's one way.
Meaning that it's easily simulatable, if not clonable. But we'll see that as well.
This is sniffable as well.
Yeah, and sniffable. It's an old technology, obviously. So we were discussing previously, there's nothing that you know, stops any one of you to implement a super cool and secure IC on LF spectrum, right? But no one does it because now we have a better version that works a longer distance.
I think we agreed about saying the low frequency doesn't generate enough power in the field. So that's why we went over to the high frequency to generate more power.
Yes, yes, but it could be done. It could be done if you wanted to.
I think so, yeah.
I'm working on this talk, 10 kilovolts over USB-C PD. So you know, I might throw this in. Yeah, and it's relatively short range. Now, there's an exception. We had 2 asterisks in the previous slide here, right? Simple and one-way comms. High-tech family does use crypto, right?
Yes.
So it can be a bit better.
Can be a little bit better. And was a famous German guy 20 years ago, Carsten Knoll, and his research team who hacked the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can we attack low-frequency cards? We can clone them. We can simulate the cards. So cloning, we're going to have slides about that. We're not going to go into details here, right? So because many of the attacks are academically ontology-wise the same between different types, different frequencies. So cloning, simulation, replay, broken crypto, where there is even any crypto, and weaponized readers.
It's all fancy names. Don't worry, we will go through those, what they kind of means.
Oh, look, a table of stuff. There you go.
Oh, I got a clicker. Yay, look at that. So when we look at frequency protocols, I don't know it's not frequency protocols, it's implementations of different vendors that use LF, that's known for that. So any one of these in red are clonable, simulationable, you can simulate, you can replay it with your Flipper 0 or Proxmox out of a box. That's no security left in it. Don't do LF. All right, are we agreeing about that? The yellow one is, we don't have a good implementation of it, and in the case of Motorola, it's so fucking old. I couldn't even find a working reader for it anymore, so I couldn't implement it properly. And it used a sub 66 hertz frequency as well. It was a really absurd tag. And Texas Instruments, the original one from 2003, same thing. NetApp is the only thing that is doing things that's kind of interesting. They are doing a lot of sneaky stuff when we encode the bytes that it shouts out. So, yeah. And the safe one is high-tag 1, 2, S, and MI, because those cryptos are not quite broken yet.
So fun stuff about the cards there is that still to this day there are companies coming up with new products using the red stuff from the previous slide. Why? Because the barrier of entry is low. You know, if you have your startup in a shed and you want to know, let's do access systems. So that's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, let's go to high frequency instead. And that would be complex ICs, advanced crypto you have available now, digital signatures, and you get a little bit better range. It's like 10 to 60 centimeters because we are doing the metric system. It's fun because Americans and inches and this empirical system is bizarre. Anyway, oops, I went too fast. Sorry. Go back again. This is more modern technology. Modern in the sense it's only 20, 25 years old. And it's what's being used nowadays, and that's what's going on. They add more and more cryptos onto the ICs. And generally good stuff out there. Another part of high frequency is what you mostly know is NFC. Near Field Communication Group has a concept they call NFC. And you hear it intimately between RFID and NFC. And no, NFC is not RFID. NFC is a subset of RFID. And they are mostly known for the NDEF protocol, which is
NFC data exchange format.
Exactly. That looks like this. And this is one of the reasons why you see CVEs on Android phones and iPhones today. This format is such a pain in the ass to interpret and make a good parser of, so we always make bugs in it. So if you look at the last 10 years of CVEs for NDEF, for NFCs on Android, they always in the NDEF part and the parser who makes it.
It seems easy to understand and implement. It looks like any network protocol in the 70s or 80s.
This is a hint for you other guys, you guys who do bug bounties and all that stuff. If you want to have easy money, you look in any kind of format that is a TLV-based type length value, like ASN1, DIR, BER, or not TLV, of course. Try that, look at the parser, and you will find bugs. Attack vectors is like normal.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
You love to click.
I pressed the wrong side of its damn clicker. It's like, what? I don't know. So, clone, simulation, replay, and relay. Same things, sniffing and crypto attacks, and weaponized readers. Yeah, we will talk a little bit more about them as we come. This is just the concept of what's available there for you. And when you look at this slide says protocols again. It's not true. It's like vendors mixed into protocols and standards. And yeah, okay. This is an ISO standard, a protocol. This is a product. So yeah, it's a mixture. But the thing is, most of them are unsecure, like crazy. But there are more secure ones as we go along. So the electronic machine-readable documents are quite safe, yes. CI purse is safe in that sense. It's a shopping transaction system. It's not been researched too much into. That's why it's safe and secure. FIDO authentication and MyFair and anti-424
when Iceman says safe, he of course means technically safe. So it doesn't include any social engineering aspect that you may use in connection with RFID technology.
And we also have one that is white. And
What does it mean?
yeah, it basically means Fudan is a microcontroller developer from China, and they make a MIFARE Classic and make Ultra Classic clones, but they also make their own custom ISO 1443A type of tag, and we have no fucking idea how it works. Yes, we do actually. It's like 8 blocks of data, and you can read it, and then it's 8 blocks of encrypted data that you can't read if you don't authenticate it. And we use a derivative of a crypto 1, so it should have weaknesses, but nobody has looked into it.
So the white bullet applies to all Fudan cards except the MIFARE Classic cards.
Yeah, basically. So ultra high frequency. Long distance. Really long distance. So you can, because they're not inductive anymore, right? So they are radio transmissions, and you backscatter the signal. So you usually have them in logistics and warehouses because you can read it from far. It's really good in that sense. And it's quite fast. You can track. That's why you have cars and toll systems, because yes, the cars passes by, it goes perfect. This is how it looks like. You love this slide.
Oh yeah. So it's not super special, right? It doesn't have inductance, but other than that, this is how generically RFID system looks like. And I think from applied perspective, one thing that you should keep in mind that in deployed systems, RFID readers are not always or are rarely the place where the database is.
Yeah.
Even though in smaller scale systems, that's how it's done.
So what is possible here? It's cloning, simulation, sniffing, crypto attacks, and weaponized readers. We also have something that's called DDoS. By sending multiple messages, you can add a disturbance sender track, or whatever you want to call that shit. And then you can have something called UHF kill. Well, it also works like for NFC kill, or high frequency kill, that sends out high energy pulse that can kill a tag. But there is also another one. Most of UHF tags have something that is called a kill command. And what can an attacker do with a kill command? Yeah, well, if you figure out the password needed to send the kill command, like the KDF, you now can go into any warehouse and just disrupt the whole damn warehouse. And if anyone wants me to do that on their warehouse, you can you can hire me, and I would love to do it.
Is it that easy?
No, it's not that easy. I will bring a team of people who will hack the backend system first, and we will do that. So that is for EPC Gen 2 tags. But it's there to remind you of the possibilities how an attacker thinks. Is it secure enough?
RFID? Oh, hell no. Let's go into details here. Right. So we're gonna start back at the simple stuff again and talk about how are RFID systems protected. First of all, we have read-only cards, which is really great. You can't mess around with them. You can't kill them. You can't edit them. You know. The problem is that usually those are the simple cards, the ones that are super easy to clone, super easy to sniff. But you can also have a more advanced cards in HF usually, where you can program them and then lock them down. Right? You can't write to them. You can't erase them.
Yes. Oh, that's my slide.
Oh yeah, that's your analogy.
Slide.
It's a good analogy, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah. I have bad memory, man. So, an analogy for RFID. What is an RFID tag? It's like a basic memory stick, like a USB memory stick. And what you want to do is to make sure the data you store on that memory stick, you want to make sure that it's encrypted, right? And when you talk to that memory stick in communications, you want to make sure that it's encrypted communications. And then, so you don't want interference in that communication part, you want to use a signature like a CMAC or HMAC. And then you go like, which tag supports out of this, out of the system? Yeah, MIFARE Classic, or MIFARE DESFire or HID CEOs does this out of the box. So that means you can do a good protective setup in a system used properly by following these guidelines. Which leads us to the cryptographic key management.
Very important, and pain in the ass, as in all systems.
It's a pain in the ass. Use diversified keys. What is diversified keys? Yes, it means that you take a number, a master key, you put it into a KDF, a key diversification function, and out comes generic keys. With that, you want like a rolling key. You want to keep on changing that key, alternative months or whatever you want to do. But you also want to have a diversified key per card and per site. Now, there's a good story about that one. I talked to a pen tester back in the US. I will not talk about the company they were researching into or were doing the assignment with, but they was entering successfully into a headquarter in San Francisco, and they managed to get a cleaner badge. And we copied it and cloned it, and that's it. And a couple of months later, they were in charge of trying out other headquarters or offices in the US. And I will say a name, Chicago. And it's not Chicago, of course. But in Chicago, that cleaner badge from San Fran worked. Because someone thought, well, why would we need per site keys? Exactly the same thing. You just need keys that is available to read out your memory stick from that site. Anybody has to handle, yes.
Psychologically, this happens because, of course, we've been taught if it works, leave it alone. So you look at a spec, you look at any implementation, and you don't understand what some parameters do or what some fields do, and it's just, okay, I'm just going to leave it, I'm not going to change that. So that's why we get to hack. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you can't, you should secure them with a secure element. It is what it is. But if you're not doing it, you're doing it wrong. Say it with me. Oh, all right. OTP, one-time programmable fields. What do you have those for? Well, usually it's because you can set one bit and you can't flip it back again. Or that's the whole idea of it, which is kind of nice.
Like a punch card.
Yeah. It means that, when you use it, you use authentication to write to it to make sure that you are authenticated to deduct numbers from that of one field. And then it's very suitable because you can say, like a ticket system, you want to have a 10-time used card. That is why you use an OTP field. And make sure that you authenticate before you write to it. You also use an RFID encryptions. Well, you should use the highest crypto that your system can handle. You wrote that, I know that, you're laughing, so I have to make this up. Yes, why do you do that? Well, if you support AES, go for it. If it doesn't, well, that sucks, but that's the first rule. Try the highest script you can do. And the second rule is backwards compatibility sucks really well, because you have to go back to DES. In the Proxmox world, that means when we ship code or we push code to the repo, GitHub usually warns us and says, oh, you are using legacy encryption. You shouldn't use that in your project. It's like, yeah, we have to, because we have to look at old tags. And rule number 3, do not roll your own crypto. End of story. Never do that. Never do that.
Yeah, it sucks for everybody, right? If you do that, first of all, the system is going to get broken, but also a cost for your customer to order an audit, which is really expensive. Doing crypto audits is expensive, but they're still going to break it.
Yeah. So, elliptic signatures, good for validation, but it's quite slow. It takes time. If you have an entry system that has to go fast, don't use that. Like an XP originality signature, it's to determine that they actually made it. But,
as long as the private key hasn't leaked.
Yeah, as long as the private key doesn't leak. Attacks. Documented attacks. Yeah, well, card cloning. What do you need for that? Well, you need magic cards or genuine cards. What is a magic card? Well, a magic card is a special kind of card that has some properties of an original card that it circumvents. Does that make sense? No.
It pretends to be a normal card, but actually it can do more.
So a genuine card has a non-writable unique ID. It has crypto keys. It has authentication to it. So a magic card of different generations allows to change those values. It's like saying change the UID or change the key or read out the memory without giving you authentication, which is quite handy. You want to have a fake signature, just upload a new signature. Doesn't matter. That's what Magic Card does. Or that's what you use for card cloning. The modern ones right now, it comes in generation. And for MyFair Classic, I don't know why people are so fascinated with MyFair Classic still. So for the Magic Cards, we're up to generation 4. It's our nomenclature for trying to say the changes of the functions that the magic capability is. So the fourth one now have shadow memory, and it can be locked down with a password so you can't identify the magic card, because it's a cat and mouse game. You have a magic card to circumvent something a general reader does. The manufacturer fixes that out by improving their firmware, outlocking the old magic copy cards. And then the inventor of the magic copy cards, usually in China, and they invent a little bit to circumvent that one as well. So it goes down. So we're down to fourth generation now. They're quite expensive tags, but they're quite good. If you're into pen testing, red teaming, you should have one of these, and you should have some of the generation 1As as well. Because you burn things. Car key fobs, yes. Actually, you can clone those. I didn't know those before. I didn't look very much into car cloning or car key cloning.
Or cloning, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a company called X-Horse, and they make a very nice little reader. And this little nice implants or immobilizing tags with PC 5731 or something like that. I had many numbers now. Anyway, that is now UID changeable. Good thing or bad thing? This is why people in the what do you call it? Car repair people can come in, and they go there and go like, yes, you want to duplicate your key. And that's what they use. They don't use a genuine keys. Kind of cool. And they also have this targeted Russian design. It means in Russia there is very technical, advanced people. So the manufacturers of lock systems, kind of special there, applies, they don't want people to clone things. But we also have a counterpart there that develops this. So I think they call iKey. So they keep on developing new magic cards that are specifically targeted to these systems. So they come up with a function and they do it. So yeah, it's a little bit hard to get hold of those tags. I managed to get it because Russians. And those tags, is like we have documented about it, so we know how they work, but they're not, it's not publicly available in that sense. We use the Chinese magic cards.
Yeah, it's not open source. They also sell a device for crazy amount of money to
Jesus
work with
Christ.
those.
Yeah, I saw that device last year, by the way. It's like, kind of fancy though, but a lot of money. Yes, another thing then for the secure tags. Another reason why I call the green on those protocols or vendors. There are no magic Deathfires, Seos, or high tags. If you don't have a magic one, that's going to be hard to clone those things, right? But the day that happens, Deathfire and SEO is going to have a problem. And we only have money away. It costs about 10K to 100,000K US dollar. Euros is about the same, a little bit less, to make a magic card. So if anyone wants to fill up that, you can do it. It's about 6 groups in China that I know that makes these tags. Those modern ones, like these ones here, is based on smart cards, so they make their own implementation onto them. So yeah. And we go into emulations. Where's my water when I want it?
I
had it.
Well, by the way, so we're about halfway through the slides. We have 12 minutes remaining, so it's all cool, right?
Yeah, we're cool. I'm just going to go. Emulation, yes. You can emulate a tag by using Chameleon Ultra, FlipperZero, Proxmox. Yay! When it comes to HID cloning, oh, Jesus Christ, HID has been suffering for years about things, and people in the US really loves to clone it. And we use this today. This is the whole thing. That's an HID SAM, a genuine one, the one with a crypt key. It's a secure element. There was a nice talk last year at DEF CON where we hacked and extract the keys from it. That means actually that you don't need very much to clone one of the secure HID CEOS cards. I got it in my pocket. Only need this, FlipperZero with the add-on board, the NARD, and that's the HID SAM, that is there. And you need the app, it's called the Cedar app, made by Betts. And you just read out an HID CEOS card, and then you can do a downgrade attack by emulating LF or HF versions of its credential, and that's it. That's how simple it is. A Proxmox, you can add the SAM into the RDV4 SIM slot, and you can just read out the data that way. More reader tags. Yes, weaponized readers. Okay. Weaponized readers. Wow. This is the most annoying word that I have heard. And I blame Americans, and I blame American military for this because they really like this word, weaponized. So, back in 2010, Fran Brown Bishop Fox talked about how they wanted to make an implant that acted like a reader, and then you could sniff out credentials like that. And that's what we call the concept of weaponized reader, because they didn't build their own readers, because that was under manufacturing laws. So they took a genuine reader and they applied some things to it. And from there, you have implants, decoys, and door simulators grown up. What you're seeing here is a Paxton large long-range implant version. If you go there, you see the implant down here, power source to it, big antenna, and that's all you need. That's a weaponized reader. When it comes to implants, it goes even more. You have a whole bunch of them. So the latest one is the TIC. It's like almost an order of time period. So go down to the TIC. That is made by a Polish team, Jacob and Julia. They were presenting at Black Hat Asia this spring. So it's really nice. That's the picture you're seeing there, the TIC. Kind of nice. It's open source. Go do it.
Why does they keep making new ones all the time?
I have no idea. I think it's something about, I don't know.
Hobby project.
Hobby, I don't know. It's just, can we do it better? The TIC also do not just vegan, they also do clock and data. Decoys. This is called doppelganger, and if you look at this picture here, this is a decoy. It looks like a genuine reader, so you just stick it on like a magnetic field or a carbon thing. Put it up there, and you put a sign on the genuine reader and say broken, and then people go and try badge on this clone because it looks like a genuine reader, and that's a doppelganger or a decoy. Same thing, inside of there is that little implant and a battery. Another thing that's called, it's called door simulators. And you take a genuine reader again, power it up, you make a big screen, and you have this as a training tool back home. So for pen testers, rent teamers is excellent if you want to know how to look at access control. By looking at how I understand how the badge talks to the reader, you can sniff it with Proxmark, you can sniff on the data that comes out, you see what's going on, you start understanding about vegan data, the facility codes and card numbers, and the great things, a lot of them. So we've got the Paxton Get-On reader, which does this high-tech two things. Evil Demons is the one we have, and then we have a lot of custom builds. Is it open? Ah, God. I know I only have 8 more minutes, and I can talk for 20. Whew. That's good.
Right.
Relay attacks. Oh, yeah, that's utterly popular. If you heard lately about malware, Android malware that do this relay of NFC and people get robbed, That's what you do. Basically, it's what you take. You take this is the Payment Village relay demo bag, so they have for this training. So you have 2 different readers. One is acting as a card. You put the card on that one. It goes through and talks to a Raspberry Pi Zero on the end there. The way you can manipulate it and add and change the data and traffic on that application layer protocol 7816-4. And then the other side is presented to the payment terminal reader and is sent out that way. That is what Relay is doing. You can stand for the Paxway, what we demonstrated 2 years ago with the Card Hopper project from Loudmouth at DEF CON. And they were standing in Canada, and they were demonstrating at stage in Vegas, showing that, have a device emulating against the genuine reader, and the guy on stage has the device and his card, and it goes beep, and that's relaying. Somehow, reading a card, sending that data with Wi-Fi, internet, whatever you want to do, back to another device that emulates a card by simulation, and then that's it. Genuine card. How do you counter that? Timings. Back to crypto and side channel attacks. This starts to be funny. Now we're going to have a little bit more of details. Whew. I'm getting there, I'm getting up. So, crypto and side channel attacks. MyFair Classic backdoor. If you were aware of that last year, Philip Turvin did found the classic backdoor in the notorious static encrypted nonces tags from Fudan. They made MyFair Classic clones, IC clones, and he found them. Philip Turvin, he made a big paper about it, got some help from the community to look into it more. It's a great paper, read it, but he also made a script that generalizes the whole thing, so we don't have any problem at all to hack that kind of cards anymore, and it's called recovery.python. So you run that in the Proxmark world, and now no MyFair Classic card is safe anymore. Key diversification attacks. what I call key gens, because I'm an old guy, is when you take master key, scramble something out, and you want to have diversified keys with a card. You usually take something static like a UID on the card, so you mix those together, and you make that per sector per key. So the thing with KDFs is they're great, but what happens if you figure them out? When you know exactly how the KDF works and the master key that is entered into it, what happens? Well, that's what actually happened with Dormakaba and the Saflec KDF. That was leaked in December 7 months ago, and that's a hotel system. That means that now, with your flipper, you can just read a Saflec card out, the old MyFair Classic ones, and you see the room number and all that stuff. It based on the attacks from the Unsaflec team that did a talk on DEF CON in August. So yeah, it was great. But leads me to this. This is Marina Bay Sands. They have Saflec as a hotel system. And I was down in Black Hat Asia 2023, and I was hanging out with Dark Matter. And he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Did I ruin it? Yeah, no. And he was asking me all the time, we want to get up. Because on that top of that hotel is an infinity pool that's great to die for. Should be on the bucket list. And he comes to the hotel room and is like, oh, I can't read it, because it's static encrypted nested nonsense. And I'm like, can I help you? Maybe. I had the KDF since years, so yeah, I can clone that card always. And I cloned it for him, I gave a copy to it, and then he's like, how do you like it? And he says, that's a great pool. So I end that story by showing this. You can draw your own conclusions what happened. But it's a great place. Tier of attacks. Yay! This is my favorite because I've been doing that for years. Tier of attacks is a simple concept where we are the closest way to glitching something. In the power fault injection or EMF injection on circuits. Tier of attacks is the closest thing that we have publicly on RFID cards. We call them tier of attacks, at least. So what's right now new and sexy and all that is the ST25 counters, the Picobytes I-Class, the Ultrite EV1 that me and Philip did. EM4305, oh God, that was me and Philip as well for a couple of years. Yeah, well. And of course, as you asked me why we have this ... and I was like, yes, because it's waiting there more to be. We haven't put too much effort into figuring them out, But with that said, the ST25T counter thing from Jente Kiever, he made his own device. That's his kind of a cool thing. So he has this bus ticket systems in France. So there was a big talk about this last year on Stick, about how they tiered the counters, the number of times you can do a ride on that system. That's the ticket and that's his device. And I have that little device on my hand, battery driven like that, and it reads, copies, clones, emulates, learns, and it does the tier of attack just like that. Ooh. No? Oh, God, you're a hard crowd. I think this is amazing. So Jente Kiever did several different versions of this one. You can ask me later if you want to have a look at it, but it's here at least. Short of time. Consequences. Yeah, what is consequences? Many rides. A lot of rides. I know, because I tried it. It works. Works great. And apparently also some coffee makers or coffee drinkers in Italy loves it. Something about Kodge's vending machine also uses ST25Bs. I don't know why. People are ripping off coffee machines. I don't know what the thing is. When it comes to I-class tiering, it's a completely different thing. So, like I tried to say, what we do in this one, when we tier something off, we cut the power, so we cut the field, in a very specific timing. So we do it many times over distances and time to see if something happens. For I-class, I had a discussion about this, and I had a talk about that on DEF CON 2022 in a village, where I ripped the e-purse, and sadly enough, the video went away, but the audio was still there. But this is basically what happens. I'm going to get out of picture again. And you can see here how we slowly, with increasing time, flips different bits in that field. And it becomes something else, right? So the PicoPass that the I-Class is based upon, that chip, is very susceptible to tiering. And this is what happened because I made a script 4 years ago. I never released it because I never got finished. But ATK, another user from community, was working on it this spring, 2 months ago. So we were happy doing it. So he implemented a native command instead in the Proxmox client. So that's what you have there, and that's what you can do. So I'm going to walk you through how easy it is and what happened. The ePers tiering is the same thing as a counter in the PicoPass world. So it meant to be decreased but never increased. That is the pers value. It is, I'm going to do this again. Imagine 4 numbers, that one is one number, and this 4 values is another number, all right? Back in picture. So you run the tier of attacks, and it starts. It's quite simple because it's such a broad, simple way. So it just takes us from the 400 we start at the microseconds. It goes on 410 ones, and it tears it off, like you see down here. It comes down again to F and you refill the ePers to max again, which has the side effect that when I generally read it, that decreases it all the time because it uses as an input to the authentication MAC address algorithm. It gets stuck, and you can replay those values. Kind of fun. I think it's fun. Yes. So back again. Next thing is config block tiering. That was the next level. That's the thing that MVX talked about, and 2023, I think, on DEF CON. And he said that you can actually tier the config block. The config block is up here. And those are the values that are interesting. And the 3C here is fuses. And what we are interested in, the mode encrypted parts here, it says that it's application locked and keys on secure paged. It means that you can't read out the memory without having the keys. So this is the config block, and that's the fuses that are about the 3C. And what we're looking for is the bit 7 or bit 8, bit 7 and bit 4 and 3 together. Those are the ones we want to flip. However, they say that it's impossible to get the chip in personalization mode because we say it in the datasheet.
According to the spec.
According to spec. And the same thing goes for those 2 fuses here. We want to have a non-secure page instead of that one, because if it's non-secure page, you can just read it out. So what we do, we run the tier attack again, and we get some answers down here, and you see down there the personalization bit flipped, the one that was impossible to flip, it flipped all right. And we got BC out. We had 3C out first, and you see which bit actually got flipped. We flipped that one. That enables us to get back into application mode. Once the tag is in application mode, we can write a new config block and write AC, which means that the crypto mode for the memory is now in a non-secure mode, leaving us to just read out the data. Ooh. You're not on me. I have no feeling. So this is a live picture a little bit because I fucked up. So I didn't have a picture of actually that when it looked like that. So this is a memory output with a key. But I use it to show you that you actually could read it. Yes, I promise you, you could read it out. And that's what was happening. You can read out the key material, the diversified key we talked about. That's it. That's there. What can you do now? Well, you can extract the facility card and card number. Facility code and card number is down here. It's encrypted right now, but you can just easily take the transport key and decrypt it and get it out, right? You didn't need anything else. You didn't need a key to talk to the cards. So you can extract that. And then you can always talk to the card. And then we implemented, or ATK implemented another command called high class or HF iClass unhash, meaning we roll back to the diversified key into a pre-algorithm state that you then can use hashcat on to extract the master key that was used for this system. That means for our iClass SE, which is a secure edition, well, no, it's not SAO enabled. That's what it stands for. You can get the key out. You can't get it for iClass Elite cards yet, but yeah. So you run hashcat for 7 days, and that's it. You get the master key out.
let's apply the attacks, right? Yeah. Well, but about your topic, about the tiering, of course, that stuff is possible, as those of you that managed to follow through all that fun stuff, mainly, of course, because there is no power source in the attack itself. It feeds from the reader's field. And when developing systems like that, you should take a holistic approach and take a look at how the system works together. Right. It looks like that we're going to have to go drink beers for questions because we're not going to have questions here.
No Q&A for us.
Looks like that, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so from practical perspective, if I want to apply stealth when doing the attacks, one of the things you have to do is approach the reader naturally, right? In most scenarios, maybe except the coffee vending machine ones, in most normal scenarios, you can't just set up, to take a box, set up your RFID hacking system and start poking stuff, right? You try to be as natural as possible. In some cases, you might want to conceal the reader that you are using, for example, to prepare for card cloning, to clone a card. Let's say you could put an antenna in your backpack and then go in public transport and grind against people to get the card out, right? You could also want to conceal the tag or the device that you're using in case of a relay attack, for example. Now, for concealing the tag, my favorite are the rings. I don't wear rings usually, but if you do put them on there, and then you can. I had this case. So we had a customer in a highly secured building. Basically, you could get to the ground floor and you couldn't get up. There was just the elevator. And if you put a wrong card to the elevator, alarm didn't sound, but a very, very loud male automated voice said wrong card or something. Like the whole ground floor was hearing that. So what we did there, we took a ring and we were just walking by and walking past, and we're not even stopping and just hoping that it will work. It didn't work the first few times, but we weren't that suspicious, right? Then, of course, you can use chip implants, like that one. You can't really see it, but that's another other way you can do it if it's programmable. And you can use long-range readers or relay attacks as well that also provide stealth. Or you can try, so antenna needs a loop, right? You can try to loop it through a door frame to capture stuff that people walk through the door with. This is an overview of the attack classes as regards to the card types, frequencies, LF, HF, and UHF that we talked about. So basically, as you see, many of them are possible. UHF, we don't have developed attacks for replay and relay. The tilde there in the low frequency field is an attack that could be done, but no one has done it because there's no need to do it. But technically, it could be done, of course. Now, how does cloning work, right? We get the keys, we read the memory, we write the card, and we visually fake a card. And we can apply what Iceman was talking about to each of the steps, right? We do crypto attacks on getting the keys, including the new ones there. We just need an antenna and the reader and the key sometimes to read the memory, and then we write it. Now, those are two different scenarios, right? Compared to physical keys, where it's relatively easy to read it, mechanical key, right? But it's loud and relatively slow to write it, to clone a physical key. Here it's the other way around, right? You have to get to the key, you have to read it, it's the hardest part, and then writing it is usually easier. Now, if you do not have a fancy solution like a TRF attack or anything like that, what you can do is visually fake a card, which we did in our attack from 14 or something. When you take a real card, you microwave it for a bit so it doesn't work, it doesn't interfere, and then you place a magic card underneath, right? If you need to visually be able to prove to someone that it is a real card, if they inspect it, right? For simulation, you also need the keys, you read the memory, and then you simulate. Now, you need a device that can simulate. You can use a Flipper Zero, you can use Proxmark, you can use a bunch of devices. Simulation is cool because where you cannot really clone a card fully, where you haven't defeated your OTP, for example, you can just simulate it and you just say, okay, I'm writing your bit there, but really not write it, or just erase it after the next action. Now, for replay attacks, you need a tool to sniff and store the air communications, which is a reader. Yeah, quite easy. You can use a Proxmark as well, right? Once again, we may disagree, but in the field, Proxmark is hard to use, which is why we sometimes go to commercial.
It's not a field tool; it's a research tool.
So we agree. So we agree that Proxmark is not the tool for field use, right? So yeah, that's why we sometimes use some commercial products there. And to replay it, once again, you need a device that allows that. Now, for relay, we did talk about that. We saw a picture of a device that can be used to train yourself on relay attacks. Basically, the idea is to forward the radio communications over long distances. It does require a specialized device or software.
Yes.
Now, coming to the end of our talk that's out of time, protections. So this slide is here for legal reasons. We can't just talk about offensive stuff without telling how stuff is solved. So how we can protect against some of these things. So we can use distance bounding protocols. We can set maximum timings, which will prevent relay attacks, right? Because physics, light travels, so electromagnetic waves travel as fast as they travel, right? So we can use that. We can use magic and clone card detection. For example, we can send custom commands. As a legitimate reader, we can send custom command and see how the card responds. Normal card will not recognize the command. Magic card might recognize it and respond differently.
A genuine card will follow the data sheet.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. We can also try to write protected memory and see how that works out. Magic card, the earlier magic cards will just allow you to write it and change what can be changed. Once again, not to spec. We can use Faraday bags to prevent the first step of cloning, right? Just do not get them to read your keys, your card. We can also use custom frequency systems. For example, here we have a device that clones 125K, the normal tags, but it also clones 250K, 375K, and 500 kilohertz tags as well. And we can use brute force protections, like limit how fast stuff works. This is a picture I took this year. Quite a cool idea, right? It just ties up all different protections we can have. So for high frequencies, I guess you could put reader in a metal box and lock it with a key, so that people can have.
You know what? We had a challenge actually on the RF Village in DEF CON, where we had a box, a metal box, and we said read the card that was inside there. Yeah. It was an LF card, LF HID prox card. And a guy comes up with his Bose cloner. This is the long-range LF reader that is weaponized. And he goes up, and it could read about up to 1 meter. And it goes, it's like, beep! It could read through the box. That's like, I ain't protecting you, man.
Yeah. Despite the font, this is not AI generated. It's real. It says service entrance over there. So let's tie it up.
Yes, boring. Let's see like this instead. Today, what we're trying to say is RFID hacking is not just that little part between reader and card anymore. It's a part of a whole ecosystem when you need to hack it, right? You have a management system, the database, other devices, firmware, controllers, and everything. Cards are here to stay for a long time. You really don't get them away. Because they're practical, right? It's like cash.
Which is here to stay.
Oh, yeah.
At least in Germany.
Not in Sweden. Anyway, what kind of tools do you need to get started with this one? And it's like, because iPhone sucks, Android phone with MCT app, and I know that Gerhard Klostermeier is sitting in the audience, if he left or not. Please stand up. Where are you? There you are, Gerhard. Icarus, he's the guy who actually, if you can give him a round of applause because he's a fantastic guy. And he developed the MCT tool app. We have over 500,000 downloads. Oh, how many is it now? 700,000? I don't know. Every one of you who uses that app, I know you don't pay it. Shame on you guys. Support that poor open source fella. You can use a cheap Proxmox Easy. Make sure it has 512 kilobytes of flash memory on it, otherwise you're fucked. Use a Flipper Zero with Nord and Sam, but I showed you. Magic cards, buy different ones to teach and learn from. And then buy some, make a door simulator and start learning that way. Because people go like, oh, I don't know how to do things. I have a card at home. So, well, try your phone. Well, that didn't work. Okay. Shine a flashlight. Okay. And slowly ease your way into it. But you guys, you already have all of this. I'm pretty sure. So, conclusions.
Yes.
Yes,
it is
a lot to hack with.
I mean,
escalates quickly.
No, that's the cool part about it. That's why many of you, I believe, are here because starting to play around with RFID is easy, even before Flipper Zero times. Now they're even easier.
Flipper Zero is even doubled easy.
But if you wanna go deep, then it takes some hours. It just knocks you on the head, and you have to.
Yeah,
have to look deep.
And when you want to hack things and you want to do it without risk, join a bug bounty program. Tons of them. Some have hardware and IoT programs. Good start to play. Maybe you find some bugs and get some money for it as well. But it's hacking without risk. And always follow a responsible disclosure, the 90-day rule. Don't be a dickhead and release 0 days just because you get pissed off with the vendor interactions, because the vendors aren't the bad guys. They just have to run a whole multi-million company, So yeah, be nice.
When I was younger, I followed 365-day rule. I waited for a year for people to fix stuff, but now I'm too old for that. Yeah.
I never release my stuff. So we're going to round up this up with some thanks. And I want to personally say some thanks. And it goes out to Dojokes, 8K, MPO, No Proto, MVX, Bets, Kiwi, Merlick, and Sentinel. And also Team Dumpster Fire, because some of you will watch this. You guys are fucking awesome. You scare the shit out of me with things you hack and how you hack it, but I've had the time of life with you guys.
Thank you so much. Q&A is going to be outside. Well done.